Mania.
Hello, Igor Cavalera. Welcome to Rock Mania. It's a pleasure for me to be doing this interview.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
How did the band Healing Magic start? Since when is it active? Who made part of the band? Tell to us.
The band started between myself and our guitar player, Travis. If you didn't know, me and Travis were in a band called Lodi Kong before Healing Magic. When we stopped doing Lodi Kong like a year and a half ago, I had kind of been coming up with the idea of doing a band kind of about magic and adventures and shit like that, you know what I mean? So, you know, when we were done with Lodi Kong, we wanted to start doing something else, and me and him had been jamming for a few years, so it was pretty easy to just start working on some new stuff, just basically gave it a new name, a new image, stuff like that, you know. And then once we got started with our drummer, Johnny, you know, the lineup was complete. We started writing music, and, you know, things just kind of started from there.
Recently, Healing Magic released your first EP, Restoration. Tell us about this work.
Yeah, so, you know, obviously with the name of the EP, Restoration, it's you know, it's a little bit about revival. It's a little bit about the band kind of, you know, starting from the end of our band before that, if you get what I mean. You know, we ended Lodi Kong and then started Healing Magic. So in a sense, me and Travis, we kind of had our own restoration, so to speak. But we wrote those 5 songs in 2018. It took a few months to record and master and get everything sounding good. But we actually just released it while we were on tour with Beneath the Remains and Arise, my father and my uncle playing the old Sepultura albums. We were on the road with them, and we released the EP at the same time. And it seems like people got a good reaction, and you know, they've enjoyed the themes and you know, the name of it and everything. So I think it went over pretty well.
Increasingly, virtual times with digital platforms of the most varied. How is the physical CD in this scenario?
Well, the physical CD is what we released it on first. We're actually working now to get it digitally so that people around the world can enjoy it. But I personally like the physical copy of the CD more because you get to look at the album cover. You get to read the song titles on the back cover and stuff like that. You know, you get to look at the details of the art and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So we have those available, and we're looking to get it digital soon. So you should be able to find the EP just about anywhere in the next couple months. Yeah, no, it's the cover art was done by a friend of ours. He plays in my brother's Richie's band, Insight. His name's Chris L. He did the art. He's a tattoo artist. And I just let him go kind of crazy with the cover, but it definitely has a nature-based theme. You know, it has the elements present on the cover, and in my opinion, it has a little bit of like a Pushead influence. Some of his old, you know, some of the old Pushead album covers from the '80s. It definitely has a little bit of that, but yeah, he did a really good job. And when we saw the final, you know, the final album cover, we were all really excited about it.
What do you try to pass when composing a song?
Well, with Healing Magic, it's you know, the sound is similar to stuff that I've done before. It's definitely heavy. It's aggressive, but with Healing Magic, it's a little bit different, where we're going for a little bit more of like a rock and roll sound on certain songs, a little more groove and melody rather than heaviness all the time. We do have some, you know, clean melodic parts and stuff like that. So we are taking steps in different directions. And then, you know, lyrically, Healing Magic, it has a lot to do with almost kind of nature worshiping, you know, old school mysticism and stuff like that meets like Dungeons and Dragons fantasy shit, you know. So it's definitely about adventure and you know, kind of like role playing almost a little bit, you know. But you know, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a positive band when it comes to the melodies and the lyrics and stuff like that, while still being, you know, really heavy and metal sounding.
So far, which were the most important moments in the band's history?
Well, we're pretty new, so you know, we're still taking some of our first steps, so to speak. But some of the best moments we've shared were definitely on this recent tour. We, like I said, we were in Europe with the you know, Cavalera performing Beneath the Remains in a Rise, and you know, some of those shows, especially like London and Lisboa in Portugal, and you know, certain places there was a lot of energy, and you know, a lot of people hadn't heard of us, so we were new for them, and we got a good reaction. So, you know, playing with my guys each night and getting a good reaction out of the crowd left us feeling really good, you know, and we definitely hope to just keep continuing to tour in the future and, you know, go to even more countries and more cities and you know, spread the word about us.
Where does the band's name come from, Healing Magic?
The idea of the band is kind of centered around like a fantasy, like J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings style kind of, you know, fantasy adventure kind of thing. So, Healing Magic has to do with, you know, just the sorcery and mysticism. And, you know, we didn't want to go with something kind of like evil sounding. We wanted to do it more of like you know, we just thought it had more of like a 70s rock and roll vintage kind of sound, you know. I think personally a lot of the, you know, the evilness in metal is a little played out, so I wanted to do something just a little different.
And the band Lauri Kong, did it break up or are you taking a break?
I would say it's broken up, you know, with my brother Zion being full-time in Soulfly. He is very busy learning songs, writing with my dad, you know what I mean? He's really, you know, he's got a lot on his plate being in Soulfly, so it was always kind of difficult to find the time to work on Lodi Kong, you know what I mean? So, you know, we just kind of decided, let's, you know, go separate ways for a little while. Like I said, I had this idea for kind of this nerdy thing, Healing Magic, that I'm doing, and, you know, he's busy with Soulfly, so, you know, we, you know, I guess you could say it broke up, but you never know what the future could hold.
You grew up surrounded by music. Tell us, how was your beginning, your first steps as a musician? How important is your father, mother, uncle, brother in your musical life?
Well, you know, obviously having parents like I did, I learned about heavy metal much younger than other people. You know what I mean? But they were really open about letting me decide what I wanted to do. They didn't force me. They didn't make me take classes. You know, they didn't pressure me towards doing it. So it was very natural. You know, I wanted to pick up a guitar. They didn't make me pick up a guitar. You know, I wanted to get into metal, so I asked my dad to show me albums and this and that. You know, he didn't force me to listen to it. You know, so it was definitely of my own choosing to pick up a guitar, to play drums, play bass. You know, I'm pretty much a full-time bass player now, but when I started, you know, as a young teenager, I played everything that I could. I'd play guitar for a little bit. I'd play drums, this and that. And that's kind of how I started. And eventually I just, after years went by, I ended up liking bass a little bit more than everything else. You know what I mean? It felt the most natural. And I always joke that, my dad, he only plays guitar with 4 strings. So it makes sense. I just play bass with 4 strings. We're kind of the same, But yeah, so I started just naturally kind of messing around and ended up, deciding what I really wanted to play after just trying things for a few years and experimenting.
And how is Igor the writer? In 2007, you launched the book Killing My Insomnia. We even recorded an interview at that time. How was and is it being accepted, the book worldwide?
Yeah, it's been a pretty successful thing. I'm not sure if the book was out or not when we spoke, but it was received really well. I got some good reviews on it. I've still been selling copies of it on tour, and lots of people come up to see me play with the band and then get a copy from me, and you know what I mean, take a picture, talk for a few minutes, so people like it. It's different, when you go up to the merchandising, and usually you see CDs, vinyl, T-shirts, but people see a book and it's it's a little out of the ordinary. In my opinion, it was received really well. So I've been working on a second book for the last, I guess it'd be about 3.5 years, which I'm actually about to put out this coming month in February. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a totally different experience than music. With music, I write with my guitar player and our drummer, and we work like a team, but the books are just, it's all me, so it's very introverted, you could say. It's a lot of sitting at home and writing and working on things, but I really enjoy it, like I said, it's different from music, so it's a different kind of expression that I enjoy, that I enjoy having.
What is the theme? What talk about your next book?
The next book is kind of fun. It's a kidnapping that's centered around a small town in Midwestern America. Much like Healing Magic, there's an air of mysticism and like supernatural elements that surround the story. But it's basically about a boy who investigates this kidnapping and murder of his classmate, and he becomes kind of obsessed with it, and he uncovers the truth of what happened. I don't want to spoil too much, but it has I would say it has a 1980s horror theme to it. It's definitely more of like a retro horror, in my opinion. It has a Stephen King, Clive Barker kind of vibe to it, I would say, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a good kidnapping mystery, So if follow me on Facebook, anywhere like that, and I'll have it posted there where you can pick it up and check it out.
What is the difference between creating a song and writing for a book?
Well, a song is about, is going to take up maybe 5 minutes of someone's time. A book is hours and hours of time spent into it. So I would say, writing the book is a slower process. When it comes to writing songs, it's usually we get inspired and we come up with riffs right on the spot, and we have almost kind of we could write a song in a week, whereas to write a book it would take a couple of years. You get what I mean? Yeah. But essentially, I like to look at them the same. Being the lyricist for Healing Magic, and also writing my stories on the side. I like my songs to have stories within them, if that makes sense. And so that's where they're kind of similar, but where they're different, I would say, is that it's there's a bit more research into doing the books. There's you have to go page by page by page by page and write it out. Whereas a song, you can come up with 4 or 5, maybe 6 riffs, and kind of put them together and come up with the drums and come up with the lyrics, and you could have, like I said, you could have a song in a few days to a week.
Now, a funny question. If you could be part of any band in the history of music, what band would be and why?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's pretty hard. I would I wouldn't have minded being probably being Lemmy in Motorhead. It seemed like he partied and had a lot of fun, and he had one of the best bass tones ever, and the rough vocals and everything. So he's a huge inspiration to me. So yeah, if I could go back, I'd probably join either Motorhead or Sabbath. But either of those two seems like they would have been a lot of fun to be in, And they pretty much invented the style of music, so I think they're badass for sure.
From now on, what are your next steps and of the band Healing Magic?
We were received really well playing with Beneath the Remains and Arise, so we're hoping that we can do that again in the future with them. Hopefully in the United States, maybe other places. Definitely hope we can get down to South America to play the homeland at one point. I would love to play for the Brazilian crowd. Yeah, and otherwise we're working on a full-length album. We're gonna expand on the concept of healing magic, the story, the fantasy world. So definitely just keep your eyes open for us. We'll be releasing stuff hopefully in the coming months.
Thank you so much for this interview. I really appreciate it, and Rock Mania is always available.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me as well. Hope to talk soon in the future, okay?
Rock Mania! Rock Mania.